up? The season is finally over for high school, and we wrapped up the state tournament this weekend. And it is the Dirty South podcast, and we are back, and it's the post state tournament show with Cabra, with SC Wrestle, Jason and Brant, and yours truly, Ward Wrestling. Man, what a weekend it was, Jason.
Yeah,
You missed it.
how tired? Like, how long did you guys sleep for?
I think I got home at like whenever I got home and didn't wake up till like 9:15 the next day.
9:15 in
I
the morning or 9:15 at night?
Yeah, I'm in the morning, which is like 4 hours longer than I usually sleep.
I was up early because my wife was producing a musical that my daughter was in, so I went straight
Oh,
back to work for that. So, but just an example of how rough it was. I'm sitting here yesterday working, and I get a text from Ward, and he's like, "Hey, so what time you guys want to get on early and chat?" And I'm thinking, "Wow, he's really planning ahead." And then like 15 minutes later, he's like, "All right, the link is sent." I'm like, "Wait a minute, I thought we were doing it on Wednesday." He goes, "I thought today was Wednesday."
And that is that.
That is a true story, and
Oh man, it was
I don't know
crazy.
what it is. I'm sure it's the emotional um highs and lows that come when the season ends. You know, the
yeah,
feeling of satisfaction and having put in the work, and then this feeling of like the emptiness of it ending. Then you throw in daylight saving time, taking an hour out of your night, and then you're trying to get back into it. It took me like a day and a half really to get a rhythm back to even like open up brackets and start working on my wrap ups, which I'm still working on. Um, it's a lot. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like for coaches and families that were completely invested in it. But
yeah,
it's a process to get through it. I was telling another coach today, um, it goes so long, but it feels like it ends so fast. I know it doesn't, but it just that's you're just going so hard at the state tournament and leading up to it. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, all the mats are gone and they're kicking us out of the arena,
right.
or kicking me out because I'm the last one there. It's it's just wild, and it feels like it's gone in a second.
Yeah, it's funny because I cover three states. Georgia and Alabama finished 2 weeks or so before Florida did, or 3 weeks before Florida did. And I I knew that I had to do Florida work, but I'm not doing anything, man. Like Sunday, like I'm not processing any pictures. I'm not doing any of these things. Like I'm shutting my computer down and I'm just not doing anything for a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do much on Sunday. I opened up the computer because I had some pictures that I took myself during the finals that I just wanted to send out to a few different coaches, of them giving a hug to a kid or something like that. And so I did that, but for the
Yeah,
most
how many
part,
pictures do you have to process? Oh,
oh,
my computer's slow.
I mean, I had a photographer per classification, so I'd imagine they all have at least 5,000 pictures each. So
Well, thanks
those were
to
going
Dan,
on.
I used his one of his cameras for the final, so my daughter and I could be more stationary, and she took 3,500 pictures of the finals, and I took 2,500. So we had
Woo!
almost 6,000 photos that I'd going through just from the finals.
And he had my 7200 lens, so he was like a kid at a candy store.
Oh, I was living the dream.
Look, Jason looks like he's about to whistle because he's frozen.
He's frozen.
Well, this
But I
should be an
mean,
interesting call with the frozen of Jason, but anyway, um,
but I mean the thing about this weekend to sum it up while we're waiting him to get back, and you and I were there, every minute, every second of it was it was a crazy wild weekend of upsets and shocks and this, and in the finals everything kind of came back in, or a few, there are people in the finals, but I think if you would have asked me on Friday night to project the finals, and I probably should have, but I was driving. Um, there are only
Sorry.
there are only like two or three finals that were really shockers to me, which is crazy because this weekend was so full of bracket busting, so full of craziness. But then the finals just kind of seemed like they went,
I
at
mean,
least
there was
my from my
only
perspective.
out of 56 finals, there was only 10 of those matches that didn't have one of your picks in them.
Yeah,
Out of 16, because five of your picks as champs lost, but they were still there.
yeah.
So literally, you got like 72% of the picks right of who was going to win it. So even though in between the start and finish, it was a whirlwind, but when it came down, but they got to where they were supposed to be, however they got there
It
and kind of made it
it
up.
finished how we thought they would,
Yeah.
or close to how we thought they would end, which is
And
pretty
I
wild.
know before we get started doing the getting into this and going down our rabbit hole. RAF is coming up in a few weeks. It's going to be here in Tampa, and we'll have BB and most likely Chad Bronstein on next week to talk about it. But just real quick, if you guys go there, there's a huge camp happening the day after at Freedom Tampa. Uh, I believe it's going to be Kyle Dake, is what I'm being told.
Oh, wow.
So that's huge. But you can get all the details at raf.com or realamericanfreestyle.com or whatever it is there. And guys, check it out, sign up for the clinic, but also get out and support BB. He'll be wrestling Saturday night. So that's that.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Bob. I obviously I had internet issues, not in my normal space. Do we know who is Connor wrestling?
To
Do you know?
Julius, I think.
Did Julius who wrestled Lugo?
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
So he's been
So
putting
I popped back on and you guys were talking about it. Yeah, it ended up kind of where you wanted it to be or where we thought it might be, not where we wanted it to be, but where we thought it might be. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of chaos between the beginning and the end.
yeah. I
The
mean, I was
road
talking.
there was scenic. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, I was talking to a coach this morning, and he said, at least in his time going to these, he's never seen a state tournament like just with so many upsets on the boys and girls side.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was wild. I mean,
Yeah, so
we had state champs go 1 and 2. I mean, it was
I
wild.
agree. So what was there one, it doesn't have to be even a champ. Was there one person that their run was so surprising? Not not because you were surprised that they weren't going to get there, but because of where they started coming into the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brant has one. I would probably say the same one, the one we spoke about earlier, Brant.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking non-winners, and in fact, I'm finishing up this graphic now. I'm so I can talk a little bit more on it. But the state finalist at 285, I had him ranked 14th coming into the weekend. I'm getting his name wrong, Raimundo Romero, and he had finished third in his region. Now he had wrestled well this year. But he was hot and cold, and so he had some good wins. He had some wins that held him down, but came to life this weekend. Reached the finals. Um, Out of all of the bracket busting, his was the deepest and from the furthest out. I had a handful of 15 and 16 guys that I had ranked there that ended up on the podium in seventh or eighth, but he at 14 reached the final, and no one down in those places came anywhere near
Well,
doing that.
and in 3A 285 during the preview, we talked about chaos, the
Yes.
potential for chaos in 3A 285, and he just took advantage of all of that chaos. And you know what?
And
He
it was the
pushed
most chaotic.
Oregon.
If you base things off my rankings, which is what I do, um, the places came from all over up and down. Number 13 was fourth. I mean, the 3A 285 was the most, I think the most even weight class coming in, and it proved to be that throughout the weekend.
Well, and Cooligan, just took care of his side of the bracket, but he got pushed in the finals. And I mean, and he came in as one of the ones that I think we thought would be in the final. So in a chaotic bracket to kind of keep your blinders on and not get distracted by all the chaos that's going on around you. That's pretty cool to see Cooligan like make that run and win the title.
He said that's pretty cool again that he made that run.
You know,
Uh,
the other thing that's really interesting is Romero wasn't the only Park Vista kid to make the finals.
I
At the
gave
other end of the scale, or at the other end of the weight spectrum, you had a number 4 out of that region.
yes.
What, Eli Diaz or Eli
Eli
Valdez?
Valdez,
Eli Valdez,
who
who
was a
made a run
returning
as
state
well.
placer. I mean, so he had done it before. I even, I actually, I don't know if I wrote about that in 3A, but it was a note that, he had been on the podium before, had just an up and down season. I had a long talk. Their coach grabbed me and I ended up giving him a handful of stickers because they proved me wrong on the girl side too. But he said, he goes, he looked terrible last weekend. And he goes, but he just knows how to turn it on here. And boy, did he turn it on
Yeah,
and proved me very, very wrong on that
other
side too.
kid that turned it on was Vlad Drown,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
number
No,
5
Vlad
or
Drown.
6.
Which
I think you had him ranked 5 or 6, and
I
he made the
did.
run.
The pro, that's
I
he
think that's
was he
less of
was
a
one
surprise.
most of the season. I had him number one all season, and then he went into his region tournament, and I didn't. Well, for one, I didn't realize how good Kyle Sains was Kyle Sains because he had lost some really, but he's a sixth grader, so you don't know what you're going to expect from him. So, and he had lost the guys ranked above him, in the ranking, so I had to like place him there, um, and but I had Drown there all year, but we didn't see him wrestle a lot until the region round. So that's a mistake on my part that I should have seen those. But I mean, Sains being a sixth grader reaching the finals, there's a story for you just in itself. But yeah, Drown, he wrestles with uh, a lot of the top guys over here in Brevard. He's part of Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Brevard FCA. Works out with a lot of the Merritt Island guys. He wrestles probably more places in the offseason than he did during the season. But just a solid weekend by him. Just absolutely just in control of everything.
Well, I
And
think we knew. I think we knew that that Drown Hackett quarter was going to be super important to see who
yes.
came through that top side because we had talked about it. That bottom side of the bracket was just brutal.
Hmm.
But Drown took care of business against Hackett,
And I mean,
and
Kyle,
then
the sixth grader, only losing 6-4. I mean, he,
Yeah, I
no,
mean
right,
it came down to
and
the
winning
end.
that
Yeah.
bottom side of the bracket, dude.
Yeah.
yeah, ultimate tiebreaker against Nassif.
One
Right?
of the craziest moments, not crazy, but just exciting moments of the weekend was watching that semifinal play out.
I
Just
mean,
the emotional level of it.
another one we could talk about is round 3 between the Baker and Messina.
Oh yes.
Goes again to a tiebreaker.
And
Yeah, and
again, it went to this is the final. Yeah, since we're jumping around, this is the final
we
and
are
one,
jumping around, but that's
which is
okay.
fine. But just let the listeners follow our minds, which are kind of everywhere. But the
I
final
know
at
it's a scary thought.
126, Kellen Messina, uh, William the Baker Harvey, wrestling again go to sudden victory 1-1, but this time a little different because the first two times I believe they had gone ultimate tiebreaker,
Yeah.
and it had gone, and Kellen had scored the first point. And I even sent you a note, Dan, on a text. I was like, Harvey scored first this time, but then Harvey gets a reversal, and then Kellen gets in with just seconds left in one of the overtimes and gets a takedown and ends up, pulling away. They don't go to ultimate tiebreaker, but just three fantastic matches this season between the two of them, and they didn't disappoint. One of the best finals matches too.
And
Yeah, no doubt.
Harvey, by the way, had to come through an ultimate tiebreaker just to get to that match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that was not against Perez, who I had talked about, the little Case Gustafson
Yes.
who wrestled really, really well for Miami. Miami Christian School had a really,
Miami
really
Christian
good
had a great
tournament.
weekend.
They had a
Yes.
great weekend. We'll get to some of their other kids, but Case looked great. and then we get that rematch between Perez and Gustafson and for the consolation finals. And I'll just tell you what, I mean, 26 and 1A was just a lot of
Mhm.
fun to watch. It was just a lot of fun to watch. Going
And
back
then, but
real,
while we're there, let's go up to 132
okay.
and really give all the flowers to Jasper Kroom.
Oh
Um,
man. We
just
we
a
have been told all year, right? And we knew
And we'd seen him and saw it, but we
that's
hadn't
right.
seen him wrestle Castellan. He hadn't wrestled Messina. Those are both state champion returners. Um, but we had seen him beat everybody else he wrestled this year.
Man, and Castanon looked good too. I mean,
Hmm.
but Kroom is just,
I mean,
I
he
mean,
goes through two state champs to win it all.
I think Brandt might have said the biggest jump from a year ago to today
Yeah.
is Jasper Kroom. And
And
I would agree
he
with
was a
that statement.
two-time state placer, but he just looked next level. And I know his father, his club, everyone associated with him, they went everywhere this summer. He wasn't afraid of anybody this summer. Um,
No,
Put
he went
himself
and
out
wrestled
there
everybody.
in every place he could and got beat up in some of them and surprised, beat some nationally ranked guys and others but just got better and and
And
then
I,
puts
I
it on
think it was a
and
mix of a lot of things. I think he's got a really good coach up there at Florida, and
Yeah.
he's been working a lot with Estrada. So I think
yes.
together they were able to put their ideas and work on him, and the rest is history, right?
Well, I think the thing with Kroom is a perfect example of why all athletes should put themselves out there. And
Hmm.
that is, you watch Jasper wrestle 2 years ago. He wrestled some really, really talented kids from all over Florida and all over the Southeast and everywhere else, and he would lose. But he wouldn't lose by much. It was
Hmm.
close, right? And then a year ago, it was closer, but he still hadn't figured out how to kind of take that next step and get over that hurdle. And this year, we didn't just clear the hurdle, man.
Yep.
Like we're way ahead of it. And you just see the trajectory. And if I'm a college coach, that's the thing I'm looking for is
Hmm.
continued growth. And that and
and
that was just Jasper Kroom.
and his athleticism, I mean, one doing three or four different flips afterwards, different sets of flips, but just
What
that
about the frog
athleticism
jump?
combined with that wrestling skill set and the mind and
Did you
I
like the
bet a
frog
lot of
hop?
people.
Did you
The
like
what?
the
Oh
frog
yeah.
hop?
Yes. He
So
flipped into that.
Yep.
so jumping back real quick, I don't want to make sure we don't miss anyone. We mentioned Eli Valdez at Park Vista up at 106.3A. I want to make sure that we acknowledge, especially when there was a favorite in the weight class, Alzadir Ortiz from George Steinbrenner wrestled like the favorite.
Yes.
He was very consistent. He wrestled exceptionally well. He took care of business. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't, but it was whenever, when chaos is all around you, the ability to continue to do what you do and continue to take care of business is a statement. And Ortiz was that one of the individuals that I really pointed to.
Yeah, and congrats to him. Congrats to his coaching staff who really have worked hard um, to help him in all aspects of life, make him a better student, a better wrestler, and just so happy for that whole group at Steinbrenner because I know how much um, he means to this coaching staff, and I know how much that win meant to this program, and you couldn't help as a person knowing stories to appreciate those tears from his eyes as he's going over to hug him, just how much that meant. And I'll tell you, that was a tough weight class. He had a tough semifinal, a tough final, and he battled through. He got the takedowns when he needed them, and knew how to hold those leads, and walks away with a state title as a senior.
No doubt. No doubt. Um, let's jump to one of your guys's weights to watch as we entered the tournament, and that was 175 and 3A, which featured returning state champ and Bonnie, returning state runners up, all these sorts of things. And it was, in my opinion, and I wasn't on the ground, but in my opinion, it was everything it was promised to be. I mean, it was just a ton of fun to watch Marino and Tchaikovsky make it to the finals. They both had to grind. They both had to take care of business against some really good wrestlers, and Marino ended up getting the win. I thought that was pretty
I
cool
mean, how about,
because,
and Moreno has to beat number one Isaac in ultimate
right?
tiebreaker, and then number two Tchaikovsky to win the title, which was,
Yeah, that semifinal round, and I posted one picture on my Instagram. I haven't gone back to see if there's more. You can tell, we get used to the demeanor of coaches. Duck's reaction to Jonathan's win in that semifinal is the most excited I've ever seen him. It reminded me of Vic many years ago when he had a guy come out and win a title he wasn't expected to do. But his reaction to his win in ultimate tiebreaker over Isaacs was one of the moments to me that I was glad to capture of a coach reaction. And then on the other side, you have a 14-11 match that go 11-11 in the sudden victory with Chavkovsky and Bonnie. Just a fantastic semifinal, and Moreno, not a guy that I mean, a guy I thought was in the mix, but he came into this tournament and he had just lost to Bonnie in two straight weekends. Um, he had a couple other losses this year to guys that ended up being lower, and um, just fantastic. And I say it, and I'm not. It's not a favoritism thing. South Dade, though, every year I feel like every year there's a state champ they have that you weren't expecting to win the state title. They just have a way of getting that magic.
I mean, last
Right.
year he gets pinned by Bonnie in the finals. He comes all the way back and gets his state title.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that with Dade, with South Dade, and I want to stay on the South Dade thing for just a few minutes and talk about a few of their champs and everything else. You know, they were 6-0 in the state finals.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and they wrestled unbelievably good. I think there were questions as we entered the year, that those questions were put to rest a little bit as we got further along. But I'll tell you what, I mean, just to run through them, Brian Morales at 113, and it was a really good run at 113. I'll let you guys weigh in on these, but I just want to make sure that I
Yeah.
get them out there. Guillermo Jaramillo, beating Southwest Miami, so a battle that we're used to seeing against Sebastian Gonzalez. Down at 144, another Region 4 freaking battle with Solis and Sagai. Not really surprising to see Solis take the title, but again, they're on a roll. Armand Williams, man, getting the win over a really good Nathan Barrett in the finals at 150. And then you got, and then obviously you're finishing with Moreno, but before that, you got Tyree Graham in another Region 4 battle with Rojas. And every single time that South Dade seemed to be up against, you know, a rivalry and those sorts of things, especially in the state finals, man, they rose to the top again. It's impressive as hell.
I have a
You-
question. We keep going here and we keep going here and we keep going here. Are we going to talk about 113.3A and what happened there?
yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
We're hitting every weight class. Don't worry, folks. Um, South Dade going before the semifinals. Somebody I know that what was a wrestling coach posted something about how close the team race was, and this isn't to knock the other teams in it. And he was like, "Oh, is this the year they get knocked off?" And I privately messaged him. I'm like, "Yo, it's going," and I wasn't even expecting what happened to happen. And they went out, they were up, I think, 4 or 5 points going into the semis. They were up like 40 points after the semis. I mean, this is
Yes.
a team that when it was on the line, they came through. And I think going in, we knew they had three state champs.
Right?
I predicted five.
Six.
I predicted five state champs for South Dade. I ended up with six, and this was the team. This was the year that they weren't supposed to be as good.
And,
And,
and
and, I,
6-0, baby.
in the
That's
finals,
impressive.
and talking to Duck, he's like, some people questioned us, and it may have been me. I don't know. Um, I don't know
think
who
we
the
all
people
questioned
were,
it.
and if it was me, I will humbly admit to having questions, and he admitted that. I mean, this is a team they as you said, they started the year, um, not a full squad. They went into some tournaments and
Took
didn't
some
even come
lumps.
close to winning a team race, and they had guys losing in rounds you would never have expected them to lose in. And then right, the year changed, and we got close to the state duels, and they lined up for their district duels and really kind of started putting it together. This is a team also that didn't win the district title this year.
That's right.
Um,
That's
and,
right.
and everybody's like, whoa, South Day didn't win the district title. Maybe this is the year. And they just showed at least their top guns this season were obviously as good as anybody because they were the best in the state this past weekend. And props to them. And I'm going to use this to translate into another school. We'll get to your 113, but I want to talk Matter Lakes because they were like South Dade this weekend. And talking to
Hmm.
Brandon after they had guys reach finals that you didn't expect. They all caught magic this weekend, and they put their
Well, there's a little
tournament
six
away
pounder, right?
really early. Yeah, the 106 pounder that um, Jack Cabrera, who came into the weekend after finishing third in regions, um, goes out there, reaches the final, uh, and then wrestles the eventual state champ there, who was also from his region. But like they just threw out that board. You look across Matter Lakes, and they got contributions from everyone, and and obviously the feel good story, and I always like it when I can make a coach cry. I'm kidding, but the emotion um, that when we talked afterwards that he felt talking about Callias and what
Yes.
that journey has meant for both of them and how he found him in seventh grade and brought him into the room and he had never wrestled before and we know the how close he got the 2 years reaching the finals and finally broke through for a state title last year and repeats this year and just the emotion that these coaches feel for these kids and talking to him about Callias and what he meant to this program, what he meant to everybody here, uh, to kind of punctuate that near perfect weekend that Matter Lakes had, really special.
You know,
Yeah.
speaking of Matter Lakes, but I want to talk Matter Lakes, Lake Gibson, South Dade. Those were the three champs, right?
Yes.
Runner-ups were
Somerset, Southridge, and
right,
St. John Newman,
right.
right?
And then you
Yes.
also had like a Jesuit up in there third or whatever, a
But,
Haggerty or
and
The
something.
the
they
two
and
the
they
two
were
A Matt
really
the
super
But
close at 2A.
but when you speak to those top coaches and I ask them, man, how do you every year make these runs consistently? And they say during the final few weeks, we don't grind our kids.
yes.
We pull back the reins a little bit.
Yes.
We work on health. We work on diet. We wrestle, but we don't wrestle hard. We kind of we get their bodies ready for this grind. And I think you saw that again with those top schools where their kids came in and when it got to the semifinals, when it got to the finals, they just looked like they were the fresher kids out there. And it obviously made a difference because again, those three teams on top of the podium, right? Or
But
the
now Lake Gibson
or the Somerset
um
right behind, or Jesuit, or
won this differently than the others. I
Hmm.
don't did they I don't know if they did they have oh yeah they had one state champ. They had Chavez.
Kids.
They won this one Saturday morning, Friday night when people were starting to leave. Their their backside wrestling was as good as anyone this weekend, winning matches. And he's telling me, he's like, I keep doing the math. And Somerset really put on a push. They had 10 placers themselves. The most Joe said he thinks it's the most he's had since he's been there. And they kept getting bonus points and kept putting the pressure on Lake Gibson, and Lake Gibson just
Yeah, they did.
kept winning consi matches, won a ton of important third place matches, won a key. I said it. I told you guys that it's going to be like a
Blood round
Paul Wright
matches.
that's going to make a
That's
difference.
right. Blood
And
round
Paul
matches.
Wright winning his fifth place match against Somerset. That's the difference in this tournament. I know there's everybody matters, but I mean, I was watching that with my daughter, and I said that match there is going to determine who wins this state title somewhat seriously. And he won with a major decision They won the tournament. They won the title by 16 points. Six, number six.
Yep.
I mean, that's and you know, they're doing the math, and he said, you know, I thought we had to have a 13-point lead going into finals. It was 12 and a half. And you know, they got it done just as they seem to have done. But that's the other way that you win. And we saw South Day do that a couple years ago, win that way. And Lake Gibson knew coming in that was their strength, and their guys came up. But that was a great race,
Well,
and
well,
Tampa
so
Jesuit in it too.
I will say the Gibson thing is, now that we're on that, is that they really had to kind of regroup a little bit. I mean,
Yes,
honestly, Hackett's lost to Drown wasn't surprising, but you could have seen Hackett in the finals, right? And he wasn't there.
yes.
Phelan
Balin
losing,
loses in this,
you
and
know.
yeah,
There were losses along the way that you were like, I thought I kind of penciled in. Now nothing's guaranteed, but
yes.
you had to regroup and you had to say, okay, got to pick ourselves up, and we got to come back and place as high on that podium on the backside as we possibly can,
Yeah.
because otherwise the other two teams are going to run
And
us down.
listen, shout out to Phelan because you lose that big match. It's a rematch of the finals. And you know it was a gut punch to him, but he was able to gather himself because if he doesn't get
That's
himself
right.
together, he's got two big matches
Yep.
coming up on the backside that he's got to get ready for. And he does that and he comes back and gets his third place finish.
All
So,
those big losses they turned into third place finishes, which I will always say is the hardest place to finish. It is to bounce back when you've had your dreams shaken,
Crushed.
and we can even transition this into talking about the other team title winner in Orlando
Okay.
Freedom, who won entirely on the backside, only one finalist. But to have um your goal shattered and then be able to collect yourself and put in for the team and push back the third, that is a tremendous um, accomplishment.
well, I mean,
I
the
agree.
things that impressed me the most is like a Cash Callaloo losing his
Yeah.
first match,
Yes. a
wrestling
hundred
one,
percent.
two, three, four, five, six, 5 matches straight and taking third. Kids that do that lose their first match
Yes.
and go all the way through the grind to come back and win it. I mean, shout out to Khalil, but I, I went through, I was looking for other guys. I mean, there are guys that made it all the way back to the third place match. Um, just that run is
It's
grueling.
brutal. It's
Hmm.
brutal. It's
Yeah.
brutal.
So
Another thing that kind of stood out, obviously, I want to bring this back up and finish kind of talking about 3As just so we can kind of make sure I want
Yes,
to
we
make sure
get
I
to
get
everybody.
everybody, right? 113, we did talk about Brian Morales. It was a great kind of redemption story to see him back on the title and back winning a state title after a year away. But one of the big stories, obviously, at 113 is Abby Gonzalez, and
Yes.
what she did in making the podium. And it was I mean, it was a tough, tough bracket. 113 was tough, and she made top eight. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, she wrestles the region champ right off the bat. Then she gets um
Eventual fourth place finisher
fourth place
Yeah, Snowbrick.
finisher.
in
Then
Snowbrick, and nearly pulls that off. Has the lead late. I'll tell you the fun thing about those matches, and I wanted a chance to talk to her, and I never got a chance to chat with her to see if she understood just how um, important those matches were. I think just in the scope of things and proving, you know, I talked to other girls that were there, and they're like, you know, that proves, you know, girls can wrestle. That you know that she can go out there and wrestle with guys. That I kind of keep solidifying what we've known for a while now, that girls are really good. But to go out there, that is the loudest that arena was all weekend. Was that first match against Yarborough, and maybe the second loudest it was all weekend was her match against Snowbrick. People were invested; they were exciting matches, which adds to the volume. Um,
but
but
then
she
her
didn't back down from any of those challenges and fought through both of those.
and then
Won
her
one
blood
and
round
almost won
match.
the other.
And then her
Yes, and
blood round match comes where she wins that, but she gets an unfortunate injury on her elbow. You see where they wrapped her up at the end.
yeah,
I saw it afterwards. It was a big bubble. She tried to wrestle one more match. against Nikolai, who ended up with a majority win. She just couldn't move that arm or put any pressure on it, so she forfeits out there. But you know,
And
what
she
a
kind of
run!
hurt. Kind of was that the same one she kind of hurt against Schnoberick at
Yeah,
on her roll, and then I think it got worse.
yeah, and then I just shot. But I mean, we still don't talk enough about Mr. Tovar. I mean, he had a little 106, right? Was it a 106 or a 10? The one kid from Miami Christian that makes the run and wins it. He's got Abby Gonzalez in here. He's got Tovar. He's got Castañon. I mean, I could keep going. This guy has had these kids since they were babies, and I don't know if we talk enough about that guy, but he's
Speaking
bringing
of
special kids.
Tovar,
Yeah,
um, the quarterfinal match with Mario DeBella is going
yeah,
on right next to the
Abby
match
Gonzalez.
with Abby's match with Snowbrick. And I don't know how much you know about that match, Jason, since you weren't there. They called the takedown with 8 seconds left for Snowbrick, which gave him the win. And then they took it off the board and they spent 10 to 15 minutes discussing this. And they brought Jeremy over and I was watching it with Vic and so I feel smart, sitting next to him and talking to him. So I believe they finally made the right call.
Well, I walk over to
Right when
both
this is
of them.
happening, next to it, DeBella is taking Tovar to the brink,
right.
gets a
Sudden victory,
takedown with
right?
gets a takedown with 6 seconds left, which may or may not have been a takedown. And so then now that looks like he's up 9-8, and they finally decide to give him the takedown, but then give Giovanni an escape. They go to the extra frame, and then of course Tovar takes over, gets a takedown 9 seconds in. But in that match, DeBella was up twice. And this is like just going on like this mat right next to each other.
Well,
Uh
and the
DeBella ends
best
up getting
was,
third in the weight class, showing just how tough he was. Of course, Tovar, death and taxes, goes on to win. But just as we said, anything can happen. A thrilling, unbelievably one of the best quarterfinal matches I've
well,
watched.
they're going through this whole thing over there, and of course, Vic and Brant are over there watching all this go on. So I see that Tovar's resin. So I walk over and I'm like, oh shit, he's losing. So I walk back and I tap these two on the shoulder and I'm like, hey guys, DeBella's beating Tovar over here. And they're like, what? And within seconds, they're all over at that match
Yes.
watching that while this other stuff goes on. And then what happens and Brant just recapped it. But these two
Well,
matches
and
going side by side. It was, and as soon as that match was over, I saw Tovar. He was sitting down back by our our media stand, and he's just taking a deep breath, like, damn, right? And
Yeah. And then that's when you knew he wasn't going to lose again.
oh yeah, like
They wasn't going to come close
the
the rest of
next one
the,
he
the
pinned in a
weekend.
minute. The
And
next
it
one,
didn't.
he wasn't going to do it. And then I do want to say, shout out to since we're on 3A. Shout out to Soto and Lytle for giving us
Oh,
another amazing final, another amazing match between those two. 1-0, I believe it was,
it ended up being 3-2.
or
3-2,
3-2.
3-2.
And
I
what a
it
match
is
between
it
those
is
two.
the match is a perfect representation of the difference between 6 minutes and 5:59, because there was one moment where Soto saw an opening and took it, and it was lightning quick. It was like they didn't know, those guys didn't mess up for a second, and he saw like one, and I couldn't see what happened, but he saw that
Oh,
one moment where he could get in there,
yeah,
and he got in there and got that takedown. Two brilliant wrestlers, so tough, um, so equal, as close as you can be equal, but you still have to have a winner. Just a fantastic, fantastic
yeah. Shout out
finals
to
match
those
between
guys.
the two
And
of
what
them.
a career for Lytle. He goes off to college now, but what a career and what a great young man to watch
Yeah.
wrestle. And what a character kid. I mean, he's always very respectful. He always comes up. He always talks to you. He never shows an ego. Um, and and of course, on the other side, the assassin that Soto is as well. And it just so happened that these two state champs were in the same weight, and we were blessed to be able to watch the match. And unfortunately, as as Brent said, there's got to be a winner and there's got to be a loser. But that's great. But that being
I'm
said,
gonna I'm gonna make Jason happy here. We're gonna
what
clear
time are
this
we?
up. we got to talk to Southridge, a couple more state champs that they had Stefano Garcia at 138. Another one of those great semifinals with Sebastian Bonaccia, wins at
Yeah.
7-6 and then takes care of business in the um, in the final. And then Christian Soto, who we did not get to watch wrestle in the finals. Uh, Grady Isaacs, hope everything is okay. I hope he's feeling right. He ended up being stretchered off after what was determined was an illegal slam in the semifinals. So he was unable to go in that one. But Christian Soto got his state title for Southridge, and really they poured it on kind of towards the end there to finish in that second spot. They edged Haggerty by 3 points. Haggerty had a great weekend, and then Haggerty, Nick Blake. One of the things I made
Yes.
sure to do on when I got home, I was exhausted. I was like, I gotta text Scotty, and I said, there's no cheering in the press box, and I truly do not cheer for anyone. But if there is anybody um, that you can be happy to see win a state title, it's Nick. And I just told him that I hoped that it felt as good as Nick hoped it would, because he certainly deserved it after just a storied career that was just missing just that one state title there at the end, and he got it in dominant fashion.
And we need to break down these girls' brackets and show them some love because that tournament was absolutely fantastic. But before we do that, there was four kids like that. I mean, we watched Reed Yakes and Mason Basil over the years, just injury after injury after injury, just get absolutely pulled back by injuries, and they came on and made a run. Those were two kids that I really, really wanted to see. And then we've seen KJ lose in the finals twice. He's a kid that he finally breaks through in a tough, tough match against Kaspikian. Did I say that right? And
Yeah.
that's another kid that I would, it was nice to see go through the ringer and pull that off. But um,
And then your guy, you got to talk about Ray.
Ray
Um,
Shaw, two-timer.
Funny story for me on this is I ended up on the girls and 1A uh after the 120. My daughter and I switched, and I looked down and I'm like, oh my God, who's dominating down there? Because I completely forgot what weight class we are on. And then I saw them like get up and raise his hand. I'm like, oh yeah, that's that's the guy dominating down there. Fantastic end of his career with a second state title.
Yeah, going
No
off to
doubt.
Virginia. Good for him. I think we haven't heard the last of Ray Shaw. I think when he gets to college, um, they're really gonna they're really gonna tune that engine up even more, right? And we're gonna see him. And then obviously, before we transition to the girls and give the girls their love because we should, because right off the
Yes.
rip, we got matches that were absolutely incredible. You know, thank you, thank you, thank you to the Mako family and Michael Mako for
Hmm.
allowing us and blessing us over these last 5 or 6 years that we've been able to watch you wear a Team Florida, wear a Cardinal Gibbons, wear a whatever singlet you've been at, and getting to watch this man wrestle has been an absolute pleasure. Listen, watching Pete wrestle's an absolute pleasure
It's
too,
it's
but
there too,
we
yeah.
get more time with him. But with Michael, thank you to the Mako family. Thank you to Michael for blessing us all these
Hmm.
years. Uh, you guys have anything to say about that?
Um, no, I think that's great. I just want to make sure that before we transition to the girls that we don't miss any of the guys state champions. So, that I mean, there are plenty of individuals who made runs that are, you know, I mean, outstanding. They won a state title, and I want to just make sure that we talk about them. So, Mater Academy, Gary
Yes.
Mendez, winning a state title. Mater Academy had a really good run with Lucas Barrios also getting a state title over Carlos Sainz. So, two kids from Mater Academy who are winning state titles. You got Jake Austin.
And beat Saints for the third, like beat him in a tight match for the third straight weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Jake Austin, just what we expected,
Yes.
not surprising at all. Eric Bush down you're giving some Southwest Florida love with Eric Bush at Riverdale, winning at 120, and Kale Seneca winning for Fort Myers at 126. Both looked really, really good on their paths to a state
Hmm.
title. I just thought that was great. And then you have your Somerset kids, and honestly, the Somerset is not in the run running to knock off Gibson without the run of Tristan Sains and Mateo, up at what, 190?
At
Um,
190. What
yeah,
both of them scoring bonus points in the finals.
And I
yeah,
mean, how about Andrew Bray from Zephyr Hills?
absolutely.
What a run he
Absolutely.
went on. Newton and Chavez and Martinez down there at the bottom. Um,
Well,
Chavez
and
Chavez
yeah,
didn't have an easy match with Loveland. Loveland
Yeah.
put
Yeah,
up
he's a tough
a
kid.
serious fight, 2-0 there.
And
well,
Newton,
and Newton winning a state title after coming up short so many times.
yeah,
But how
two
about
straight years
Strouder
state
making that
finalist.
run?
Oh, yeah, on the top side, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Did we
Re-
go to 1A?
yeah, real quick, Miami
There's the
Christian. We
kid,
already
Ryan
talked about some
Rojo. Ryan Rojo
Ryan
was the
Rojo,
kid. Yeah.
man, and you already talked about him. But
Seventh grader.
again, seventh grader, Bryce Fiore
I would
at,
say another seventh grader
13,
had a huge
another seventh grader.
and
We
and
talked about a bunch of seventh graders. It's
and I
just
and
phenomenal.
worth talking about Fiore, Dan, when you're going through photos. Fox Baldwin won how many state titles? Like 12? I've never saw all of the wins I saw Fox win, never saw the excitement that he had when Bryce won his state title. And apparently he had an injury a month ago. They were worried that um, season was done. Bryce he said, Bryce, no, we're still going to go through with this. You got this. And his reaction, Fox Baldwin's reaction, is one of the best reactions
And
in
again,
that on that night.
again against a Miami Christian hammer that comes out of the Tovar campus
Seventh grader.
and Adrian Rojas. And talking to Baldwin before
And
that match, he knew how good Adrian Rojas was. He
yes,
knew what he had coming in there. He knew it wasn't going to be a walkthrough for Bryce. So I think that, and it's funny, I got a great picture of Fox Baldwin, Dante Giovanetta, and Fox's son, and I sent it to him and I said, all three of these guys have 7 state titles. And uh, yeah, but I know Jason is having technical difficulties live from Charlotte.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Uh,
here. I just
but
lost my video for a second.
shout out to Barnhart, Messina, Kroom, Boda, Slidzowski, Reber. Reber, what a run Reber went on.
big
Uh,
time weekend for
what a
him.
run Buckley went on for both of them to get to that
Yes.
corner and a 5-4 match, which I put a green star next to that because that was a match to watch.
Yeah.
And then Gustavo Ferreira just looked like he was playing in the sandbox with little kids. I mean, he was on fire this weekend. And then Nazario, as we spoke about, Schweitzer and Bacon. What a
The
run those two went on.
175, that may have been, I mean, it was in all the weight classes. That was an incredibly tough weight class with Bacon, Prieto, Hagler, Simmons, Motor, Siegel, all of those guys, Kazi, all of those guys were in that weight class. And Bennett Schweitzer comes out, wins the first state title for Bishop Vero, wrestles such a great weekend.
And
And
I'm Prieto on the same side as Motor and Bacon has to go back to back,
yeah,
beats one, loses to the other one in tiebreaker, and ends up going back and winning the whole thing. I mean, just just crazy. But then shout out to Trey Driggett. He finally gets the job done. And then of course the Mako boys. I know that's Jason. Anything else you want to add there
I would
as
say
you
now Trey can add state title along with being known as the most watched video ever on Flow Wrestling.
yeah, the bomb. The
You know,
butt bomb.
I in wrapping up the boys, I think it's just one of those things. You kind of know who you get, and with Mako and with you know um just some really great runs, but then you also get some really great um I don't know. I'm not going to call it a surprise. I mean, Rojo or that sort of thing, but you just really don't know who's going to step up in that moment, and it's really exciting to kind of watch them kind of all be there and who's going to make that happen for themselves.
And we
It was pretty
appreciate you
cool.
going back to your crib and sitting right inside the crib there and getting better Wi-Fi.
I'm struggling a little bit, but it's all good.
That's okay. Hey,
All right,
Um,
well
listen,
let's talk girls, which was a fantastic tournament. Don't want to feel like we're shortchanging it. At the depth of the girls tournament we knew coming in was as good as it's been in its 5 years, and I think it proved to be even deeper than we projected. Just some of the girls are able to pull off huge wins and mess up a lot of brackets on that side too.
yeah, and
yeah.
one,
So, well, the thing I think that for me, as it related to the girls, was um, it felt like it felt in a lot of situations that we got the final that we thought we were going to get,
Yes,
right? Marin and Perez, right? Jalewski versus Partello.
Bartello.
You
Yeah,
know, at least at the bottom. I'm not saying that happened up top necessarily, but we were pretty confident. We also knew there would be chaos in certain weight classes, which ended up being kind of chaos in those weight classes. But if we start with kind of the knowns, right? The knowns down at 100 pounds, not that the two, Perez and Marin, necessarily dominated. They wrestled great to get to that point. Obviously, Marin had to be Caceres to get to that point.
in the
But
quarters.
yeah, but I came away really impressed with how they went about their business and they took care of
yeah,
what they had to take care of to the people in front of them, knowing that that match that ultimately was going to be what they had to win.
right, and it went to a 9-6. It came down to I think it was a Peterson or something that Paula, whatever they call it. I mean that yeah, Paula pulled off there to win that one. But Perez, obviously she's been working all year. Marin, she's been working all year. Both these girls have been putting in the work. And I think we've seen them wrestle, I don't know, 27 times this year. And
Yeah, probably.
and there they are at the top. Shout out to the Perez family. Shout out to the Marin family. Two unbelievable families, and they were there. And so shout out to them and shout out to Perez for getting it done. The one match that stuck out in my mind coming out of 100 was the blood match between Wayne and Lydia Gonzalez.
Oh
This
yes.
was a barn burner. I mean, it went to ultimate tiebreaker or tiebreaker or
It went
whatever it
to
was.
tiebreaker. Wayne had to score an escape with 11 seconds left in regulation just to force the extra time.
Unbelievable. And you have a little sixth grader that knocks off Bowie right there with a good match there. But then Bowie
Oh,
turns
that
around and makes a run back to place again. And you could see the emotion on her face when she won that blood round match. As a matter of fact, I totally forgot that she had placed before. I went up to her and I'm like, "Is this the first time you placed? Because you look really emotional." She goes, "No, it's just been one of those weeks, right?" And
Yeah,
yeah.
it
I
was her
got a
fourth
great
time
picture
placing.
of her crying to her dad,
Yeah,
but I said, I'm going to put that first frame. She's like, don't you do that word. But, she made that run. But there we are again, sixth graders, seventh graders. Um, but shout out to Wayne and Marin as they move. Is Marin a junior or senior?
Junior.
Junior. So she'll have another run at it. Uh, Pereza, but
Yeah.
shout out to Wayne, who's a senior, and she's moving on, and just what a career. And then Caceres losing that match to Marin and wrestling all the way back to take
yeah.
third. So lots to go on 100, but I mean, I could keep going, but we got to move
I
on.
think you could. But another senior at 105, Kira Partello, uh, wins her first state title. She ends her career a four-time state placer. She and Grace Jawalski had wrestled multiple times this year and shared different amounts of wins on each side. She gets to win 12-6, becomes the first father-daughter to win a state title at the same high school. Her dad and her coach won two state titles for Baron Collier back in the early 90s, way back in 93, 94. Um, Still after I was out of high school. But uh, kudos to her. She really turned it on this year. She did have those two losses to Jawalski, but by the time the postseason came around, you could tell she had found her footing and really a deserving win for her.
And
And
Grant,
Jaworski will get a chance to come back.
I talked to her after, not directly after the match, but you know how they walk over by the
Yeah.
media center and I said to her, man, you know, you lost those first two matches to Jaworski of the year, and then you haven't lost to her again. Explain that. And she goes, when I lost that match at the knockout, I said, that's it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go work harder than anyone works. And I just know that if I go and work harder than anybody works, this will be the outcome. And she said she went to work and she didn't
And she
stop
did.
working. And there you go. Um,
So a couple of girls that I just want to make sure we touch on, and that
Yes.
is Camden Elliott,
Two-time state champ, four-time state finalist.
Kendall Haney, Wakulla, Ariana Ruiz, Willow White.
Melissa Gallo.
Those, yeah, but I'm going to get to
Oh, you
Gallo
want
in
to
a
get back to
second.
her? Okay.
Those four, um, they just showed you kind of the level that Florida wrestling is. Like
Yes.
they wrestled exceptionally well, tough brackets, yet took care of business, and just looked the part of a state champion
did you say Ailey?
throughout the tournament.
Did you say
Hmm?
Ailey Briggs? Did you say Ailey Briggs?
Well, I stopped at those four because I wanted to go back to
Oh,
Gallo. I
okay.
didn't want to get away
Talk to
from
them,
it.
but
So those four, I wanted to make sure that we
it was
touched on.
grimy. Listen, I know we can go through all these matches. I mean, I was impressed. Francisco gets beat in that first match, wrestles all the way back, and then gets a placing match. Weber, who had a tough district and region, turns around and comes through at a number 9 ranked girl and makes that run, upsetting Johnson. Man, this was all over the place. You go to 110, and I've got red and green and black ink everywhere. I mean, it's craziness that was going on. But go ahead, Jason.
So
Sorry.
part of the craziness happened at 115, and at
Yeah.
115 you had an all middle school final, and we all expected one of those middle schoolers to be there, and I don't know that anybody else expected the other middle schooler to be there. And
Nova
to see
Estrada,
Nova Estrada freaking
no,
make a run on that bottom side, she looked great to do it. Now she ran into a buzzsaw in Gallo in the finals, but to take care of business on that bottom
But
side
you should
and
have
have that
seen her.
that
She
was
was
awesome.
smiling the whole time in that finals match. She was smiling afterwards. She was smiling. I mean, she knew what she was walking into, and it was great. But prior to that, you guys got to give a shout out to Jordan DeGlace, who came through 110.
Yeah,
Not
I agree.
finalist.
expected to do that. What a run she had. But yeah, shout out to Estrada. I got a great picture of him grabbing his daughter and hugging her during that match. Look, she was in a tough match with Motor early on. Motor ended up having an unfortunate injury. Estrada hung in there, but then Estrada goes on and beats the number 2 ranked girl in the state and shows that she can compete with these girls. And boom, she's there against Gallo, who a girl that we're going to be talking about for many, many years. But
Yeah.
And
I,
then
Well, you
along with,
talked.
and if we're talking about that, we also need to mention Caitlin Bowler
There you
at
go.
120.
That's right.
Came in a fourth place finisher in her
Yep.
region. I mean, that is the definition of a bracket buster. I know I had her ranked 7, and that region is tough,
That region
and,
is tough.
and
So we
really a
weren't. I
tough
don't think we
region.
were surprised by it.
In fact, that region, all four in that region, placed in the top 6 here. So I mean, but she came in as a fourth place finisher in her region, reaches the final, wrestles so well, was wrestling Haney well. It was a kind of exciting match before that one ended. Not afraid of the moment. She'll be back next year. Definitely Caitlin
and
Bowler is something to
shout
watch.
out to Junko there. She runs into Haney in the second match, and she falls down to the bottom side where she goes on a tear and goes all the way back through the backside to take third. I love seeing that. I know we talked about it on the boys, but I love seeing that. As you guys always say, man, it's harder to do that than it is to go on the front. Um,
I just think it takes a level of commitment because your goal is now shattered.
Yep.
So you got to figure that out. Up at 35 and 40, Region One, just super impressed. You knew Elliott and Haney coming in. You knew how tough Region One was, but Kailani Barrientos, Oakleaf, I think she's Region One. I could be wrong.
She is.
And Kiana Gavir, who won a great weight class with Delgado and Case,
Fantastic
Coakley.
finals
And
match.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, Kavir wrestled, I mean, unbelievably great to win that weight.
Oh
And,
yeah, that's
and
you're talking
Enos
about
Coakley
140, right? I mean, I got
reaching that.
marks all over the place there. A six beating this person, a five beating this person, a one and two losing here. Like it was,
That
and
Gavir Delgado semi was crazy to watch. Gavir holding on at the end as Delgado just did everything to get back and picked up the final takedown to make it 10-9 and just ran out of time. But a fantastic semifinal between those two.
A steamroller, an
oh,
absolute steamroller in
so,
Eiley Briggs, man.
yeah,
Ooh,
at 45. But what impressed me at 45 was Villar. Uh,
mm,
ranked number 9, she comes in, um, and she ends up winning a couple. Then she loses. She runs into some girl named Briggs, and then she ends up wrestling all the way back and getting her third place match. That tough, but the Brown Ricks match up at the top was a good match, 7 versus 2. Um, I mean, like I said, we can go bracket by
yeah.
bracket, and
You know,
there's
I'll tell you,
And Taylor Pelchat from St. Augustine reaching the finals there. I remember after her sophomore year, she sent me a message, and I don't even know if I ever responded to it because I get so many of it. It was like, how can I get better? Is what I remember her writing me, and obviously she found some advice. Allison Blanco Cruz, one of my big bracket busters of them all, finishes 8th here, but I had her coming in as 15th in the state. So,
yeah.
but yeah, Villar was also someone to watch there with after finishing third at region, finishing third here.
So at 55, so for me, it wasn't a surprise because I watched her this past summer.
She
Um,
was great this about, yeah.
Antono she's just superb. We saw Madrid come in from Kansas. Desir's a returner, returning state runner
State
up. You had
state finals,
Slater
yeah.
in the bracket. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, yeah, this year
Yeah,
state finalist last year.
yeah. Slater in the bracket, but man, the East Lake Ariana Antonou just just wrestled great.
Yeah.
yeah, another girl
Just
there,
that's
McCormick, wrestling all the way back after that first loss and losing in the third
Yep.
place match.
That's actually I didn't I kind of did what Brant did, but I didn't publish it. And I actually had that happening for McCormick. So 170, just like the 175, and boys at 3A, absolute chaos. Not surprised to see McFarland make the run. Very surprised to see what more from Tampa Bay Tech lose early and
hmm
go out. But that just shows you the uncertainty that you get at some of these weight classes. And McFarland just wrestled great.
I mean,
She did.
Lancaster, shout out to Lancaster. I saw her after that heartbreaking loss to McFarlane. Obviously, it wasn't a heartbreaking loss for McFarlane. She won it. But 4-3, I saw her, shout out to her to collect herself and get back to work and get third place.
No doubt.
McFarland does really well at Silver Spurs, right? She wins the knockout
Yep.
and then comes back for state. And really, one of the heartbreaking things to watch here and brave Tarina Rushing out of Mosley,
Yep.
who was one of the picks all season long in that weight class, and hurt herself in the region semifinals. Did not realize how injured she was, um, but came in just with a huge knee brace, could hardly walk. Um, definitely, and then gets McFarland in the first round, who's your eventual state
But
champ,
fights back and makes a podium, dude.
and to
That's
make the
awesome.
podium. Uh, Whenever I see someone get seriously hurt, I always look to make sure that they've got another year coming back. Rushing gets to come back next year, as does McFarland, and a couple other girls in this group. But um, to battle her way to the podium, even though I saw the tears in her eyes when she finished, some of those tears may have just been just from what she just had to go through to get there. Um, but had she been healthy and things had played out and she had wrestled McFarland in the finals, oh, that would have been something to see too. But congrats to McFarland. She wrestled really a controlled match. And if you look at like the
Mhm.
results from this season, she was good in controlled matches. and she beat Caledonia twice during the year, 3-0, 3-1. So she kind of had that edge, and she kind of rode that in that finals to become the state champ.
Yeah, so I
And I
had
hope
an
she's
ex.
eating lots of Dunkin' because I know she loves Dunkin', and she's got a favorite order. I don't have it written down in front of me, but Isabella McFly, I hope you got to just destroy a Dunkin' Donuts on the way home because well earned.
I didn't see her lose at all this year. She lost when I was obviously not in the building and there was no video or that sort of thing. And I just wonder if because she wrestles those controlled matches, if something went kind of sideways in those other matches and she got behind and then felt like she needed a press and
Yeah,
wasn't able to kind of make that happen, when she seems like you said in control of the situation, she looks like she's just taking care of like everything. Up at 190, Brant, tip of the cap to you, man. I said, Murphy, Sykes, it was going to be whatever and those sorts of things. And you said Paisley Murphy is it. And you know what? You were
I
100%
had
right.
I had people at the tournament tell me they just disagreed with my prognostications on that.
Well, the girl that I
Well,
was impressed with
they
here,
were wrong.
They
yeah,
thought I'd be wrong. Yeah.
girl that impressed me here is Aaliyah Hodge. She gets
Mm,
beat by Ocean right there in the first match. She wrestles all the way back and wins her placing match to take seventh. Another girl that had to win quite a few to come on back. And then shout out to Ocean for doing her
mhm.
job. She takes out a number two Sykes in the Conci semis to get into the Conci finals and then beats South Dade. Um, Good run by Ocean also.
Well, and we
And,
have to mention Ariana Bryan, the
Right.
finalist here from Taravella, her only loss on the season. Not only did she have the best hair at the tournament, but she took Murphy to the brink. And that finals match, I know it shows up as a fall. That was a fall that she got coming from behind in the end of that match. And you felt like it was coming, but going into that final period, Brian still had a lead and she got the escape. So she was up 4-2 before the takedown with about a minute left and that match, but just battled tough against Murphy.
And by the
Murphy,
way, I think it's her first year wrestling.
yeah, I think you're right, Dan. And I'll tell you what, so I didn't watch, I wasn't
who's
obviously
first year
there.
wrestling.
Brian.
No, she's been blood round the last 2 years.
Oh, is that right?
At Taravella, she
I
was
heard, you know
blood.
what? I heard from
Okay.
somebody. They told me
Yeah,
it was her first
JT
year
told me
wrestling.
that she had just started wrestling last year.
Well,
Maybe,
she's
maybe
been
it's
in. She reached the blood round in 25, and she reached the blood round in 24.
Somebody
uh,
told me the same thing, Dan.
oh, okay.
You know
Well,
what? As
regardless
we
of that, she does have the best hair in Florida wrestling.
Oh, it was brilliant and a great match and props to Paisley Murphy, um, senior year going out in style, and
and
we
I'll
get to
tell you
see
what,
Brian again.
it is probably no better weight to actually wrap up the girls than 235 pounds. I mean, I'll be honest with you. We coming in, we weren't sure kind of how this would all play out. We knew they were all really tough. We knew they were all really close. Mavis and Brainville out of Lincoln Park Academy, Halavo Bravo making runs. Everybody's wrestling really, really good. You had Murad freaking, making the state finals as a
And
freshman.
that is someone who's a first year wrestler.
And then we get Kenzie Barrett, who has suffered like setbacks along the way, losing at different points in time in the
Yes.
knockout finals, losing to this person, winning this match. And you're just thinking, you know, are you going to put it together? And you know what? It doesn't matter what happens during the season. If you put it together in Silver Spurs on the last weekend of the season, that's the only one that really
Yeah.
freaking matters. And
And
she
coming
did.
into this season after she finished third last year, you looked at her as the favorite this year. Then, like you said, she loses. Let Freedom Ring final. She's up. She gets thrown there. Same thing happens at knockout. She's leading. Gets thrown for the loss. She lost that Rusted Jade. Sorry, Rusted Root. Good band. Rusted Jade finishes in second place. Loses the region final. Um, I got as first chance I got to watch her. She's a unique wrestler, different style than anyone else you probably saw wrestling this weekend. And so I asked Duck after, I was like, what was the difference? And he's like, well, what we had to do with Kenzie is make sure that she just stayed within herself and wrestled. And that's what she did, and she ends up winning 7-0, and avenges that loss. But just um, fantastic coaching job there also, because you knew that Kenzie was good enough to win, and were able
Absolutely.
to fix. And if she had any doubts, you didn't see him this whole weekend, and she knew how to attack someone who had pinned her the week before or 2 weeks before. Um, just a fantastic. Um, approach to it, and tactical changes, and earns the state title. And also Michaela Mavis, who we had seen beat Barrett twice, loses a heartbreaker in the quarterfinal. She's up, I think it was 12-6. She gets pinned by Brainville, ends up wrestling her again in the third place match, finishes third, part of that or winning Orlando Freedom state title team. But we talk about bouncing back from a disappointing loss when you're up in your quarterfinal match, and then you slip up and get pinned, and bouncing back. But
Didn't
the
lose to
thing that kind of
Brainville.
shocked me
She didn't
though
lose to Brainville on the front side. She lost to Hallaby
Yeah,
Bravo.
was it Halby Bravo. Okay, but
yeah,
then she
yeah, yeah.
wrestled. Okay, I don't have the bracket in front of me. But then she makes it back, finishes there. The other thing is, out of the podium, it was 8 of the top 9. So as much as we thought there was going to be craziness here, it was
They
the
all
ones
made
we
it back.
expected on the podium that were there.
They all made it back.
Yep.
Well, I don't know that. I mean, we had chaos, and I don't know that I was surprised about the podium. It's one of those things where you're like, what order are we going to
Well,
be
yeah.
in? And 170 was the same way. What order are we going to be in?
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm telling you what, I know it's going to happen in the future where the girls are going to get split and have more than one classification. But right now, it's just so
It's just so
good.
good. It's so
Please
It's
don't
so
perfect.
do
good.
it yet. Please don't do it yet. Yeah.
I know.
And shout
There
out
has
to
not been
all.
talk about it. We are coming up on a reclassification year. Um, I've not heard any talk of it, so hopefully we're at least 2 years from that even being a consideration.
Can
Yeah.
you guys please split up South Dade and Southwest? I would love to see those Southwest.
They're miles
I'd
apart. They
love to
won't
see
do it.
schools.
We need to open a few more 3A schools south of I think Southwest
Yeah.
on 2040th.
There's no way in the world that's ever happening. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just not going to be a
that's
thing.
because they can throw a rock to each other's front yard.
And they probably do throw rocks to each other's front yards.
No, 50th Street. I knew they were around there. But yeah,
But
All
another
right,
one in the
so
books. Another one in the
yeah,
books.
a final word. Why don't we just go around as a final word? I was remote, so I will take the first final word, and that is, um, we've said it repeatedly, but I love, and Dan, shout out to you. You did one of the things that I really like to do, and that is highlight kids who kind of lose in the first round or lose in the quarters and find a way back onto the podium, because that to me is a measure of grit and determination, and I love to see it. I love to see kids who punctuate their tournaments or their seasons with championships, whether it's dominant like Michael Mako or whether it is a grind it out, get it to the end type of situation. The season, I always end the season, it's a bit bittersweet, right? In
mm-hmm.
that I want, I'm tired,
Want
I'm ready
more.
for it to be done. But you go to the state tournament or you watch it and you're just like, oh man, it would be so good to see so much more. I think probably my final thing would be, shout out again to the people who run the tournament,
Mm-hmm.
who take care of all the things. Um, you guys as fans, as parents, as athletes, as coaches, well, coaches probably know, but the level of volunteers that it takes to pull off this event,
Mm-hmm.
to do what is necessary to give you this type of a showcase, the officials that put in their time, I have a tip of my cap to them. All right.
Yeah,
When do you guys do the second one?
I think that's exactly where I was going to go. I was going to say
Oh, I
from,
stole it.
from Jim Price to Tribbett to um, Bird to the FHSAA guys and JA and Corey to that whole entire team that operated this weekend. It felt like they didn't miss. It just felt like everything was flowing and everything was good and everything was great. And you know, and shout out to the athletes. Man, did you put on a show this weekend? And to the kids that showed up and maybe they didn't accomplish their dream and they have they're not seniors, they're underclassmen. Um, get to work. You can change your destiny. Um,
Yeah.
and I look forward to seeing you back. But yeah, just another great weekend. Just happy to be in there, happy to do what I do, and it was cool.
Brant?
Well, this one was my 22nd straight state tournament in Florida that I've been to, and I have to say it was, now there's probably recency bias in this, but one of the best weekends I think I've had there. Just enjoyment of it. It was so well put on. Uh, just we can never thank or compliment the folks that put this together from top to bottom. I think the only technical error was someone kicked the power during the 285 finals or 235 285 finals.
And someone jumped on Brant's computer.
My computer was jumped on by sheriffs running into the crowd to break up a melee. But even how those were handled, I think, uh, you don't know how many things go on behind the scenes to make it as smooth as it was, and it certainly felt
Right.
that. But just, I mean, from the wrestling action to the bow tie pasta with Alfredo and chicken on Friday night, mwah, always my favorite. With the apple crisp, but no, but the action on the mat was so good from round to round, and just every year, I feel like it gets better. Just the level of wrestling in this state, the depth of that level, to where first round matches are exciting, to where state champs have tough quarterfinal matches. When I started this run of 22 years, that didn't happen. It was like NBA games in the 80s. You just turned on the last 5 minutes because that's when it mattered. That's not the case now. Every match is a grind. Um, that's why there's so many upsets. That's why there's so many people proving me wrong, if you will, and coming up and telling me that, which I love. Uh, it's such a testament to where the state is, to what the coaches in the state have done, to what parents have done, investing in this sport, what uh, clubs and events and everything that leads up to this weekend paid off. Like I said, one of my favorite weekends, maybe my favorite. Maybe next year will be better, but I just had such a great time getting to watch this sport. Um, kind of sparkle at its best moments.
And
Yeah.
Jason, you don't know this, but I loved the extra touch where, usually they bring the finalists out, they walk right to the mat and they line up. They had
Hmm.
them parade around the circle and
Hmm.
then come in. So they had them parade and kind of wave to the crowd. So
That's cool. Yeah,
that was
that's
a really
awesome.
cool little touch there. I
Putting the
thought,
coaches on the other side of the scoreboard for the finals allowed, um, I think, better celebration shots. Still need to talk to Sip about getting those refs to stop walking on the mat right when the final ends. That's my only complaint. But even that was a nice little setup because we got some great.
yeah,
We were
every
able to
year
capture those images.
every year the new ref starts walking out right before the hand has even been raised.
Yeah, just let
Yeah.
us have that moment to capture those celebrations. But it was great.
Very
All the
cool.
setups were great,
And listen,
and
we
it,
So
and they had like they were done with hours to spare after the placement matches to fully set up that state finals. It was perfectly set up. It was a great time.
and if you guys, obviously, we can't touch on every single kid that did amazing things this weekend or every single weight
great.
class because we only have a time limit. But if you go,
Which we've blown past.
right,
Yes, we have.
but obviously Jason and Brant have their blogs and their websites where they do write recaps. So make sure you go there. They will have all that stuff. Um, and I'm sure if your kid did something cool, they'll talk about it somewhere in there. So uh
And there were a lot of stories like that. I mean, really,
Yeah.
honestly, and I wanted to make sure we talked about every
yeah.
champ, but
And
but
my
there were a
team,
lot of kids who won tough matches that it was, I mean, it was a
Uh,
huge moment for them. And I think that it's important to talk about.
And my
Definitely.
team is working through everything. I did get one of the classifications got me pictures back already, so I'll probably start working on getting those out. But they're working through everything. Hopefully by early next week, we'll have everything out to the parents.
So a
and
couple things,
thank you to
guys.
everybody watching this, listening to this, for supporting what we do to allow us to do this in our various ways. I am so humbled and lucky that this is what I do, and getting to be there and experience this all of those years, especially the last 5 years, is because of all of you. And I'm burying this an hour and a half into the podcast, but we are able to do what we do because of the interest and you guys
Agreed.
giving us. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Agreed. So just the last couple things, like even though the season's over, we're going to continue to do this. I don't know how often we'll do it, but we will, because the season, as far as RAF coming up in Tampa, we're going to be talking about that next week. I assume we'll touch on a little bit of D2. I would love to highlight some of the girls and
Hmm.
the NCAA's, NAIA All-Americans for the boys, and then we have the big dance for D1s in 2 weeks. I'm hoping that we're able to at least kind of continue some momentum and talk about some of the Southeast kids who are competing at those events over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll kind
And
of
then the
see what
next week
the season
is
looks like.
nationals,
That's right.
and so there'll be stuff going on there too. So it
Yeah,
doesn't stop. The it keeps going. It's just a different grind now.
Well,
that's
enjoy
right.
locking hands, everybody. Enjoy locking hands.
Not yet.
Not yet, but yes, very soon.
Some
Very
are
soon.
already locking hands. Some others are waiting until the end of the month. They'll be going up.
Some have been
Is it
locking
Virginia
hands all
Beach or
season.
where?
Some
Yeah,
of them have been locking hands all
yeah.
season.
There are a few that. But where are the Nationals? Is that the one in Virginia Beach, or is that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
Virginia
The
Beach at the
NHSCA's
yes
are in Virginia Beach.
at the end
Yes,
of the
and
month, and
they,
then
yeah.
everybody will be locking hands.
All right,
Well,
guys.
see you later. I found my cursor first.
Quick, wow.